Welcome everyone, this is Project 2 for SPM 236, and today we're going to be doing a voiceover on Gaethje vs. Chandler. This fight took place back in 2021 and is known as one of the most violent fights in UFC history.
Hey, be sharp! Wait for it! Wait for the timing! Wait for it!
Now let's get into both of these fighters and what their tendencies are. Chandler in the white shorts is very physical, very powerful, and has highlight reel finishes, but is known to lack in fight IQ. While Gaethje, on the other hand, his nickname's literally the highlight, and he's a former interim world champion. He's fought for the belt multiple times and is known as one of the most violent fighters in UFC history.
Keep the pressure!
Here Chandler lands a big right overhand, setting it up with a jab, and after Chandler hurts Gaethje, they start brawling like madmen. Gaethje lands a big left hook here that wobbles Chandler. Chandler then throws a flying knee into a right hand, which makes Justin Gaethje do the stanky leg. He's very hurt, but Chandler becomes reckless and just starts swinging up against the cage, which then will lead to a clinch situation where he's unable to get the finish. Here, Gaethje lands a huge uppercut. This will be the first of many and will become pivotal as the fight later goes on, as Chandler has a tendency to be hit with many uppercuts. that is the end to round 1. And if you go off the UFC's scoring criteria, you would give that round to Michael Chandler, all right? So it would be a 10-9 round for Michael Chandler. How UFC scoring goes is basically whichever fighter inflicts more damage or gets closer to getting a finish or is in more dominant position, they will win that round. And even though it was a very evenly matched round, with both of them landing huge punches against each other, Chandler was the one getting closer to finishing the fight. Therefore, round 1 goes to Chandler, 10-9.
Hey, and the simple jab.
Round 2 is now on our way. Remember the upper tucks I was talking about? This one drops and hurts Chandler really bad, dropping him to the floor and covering up into a shell. Gaethje is now trying to go for the finish, but fails to get it. One of the reasons why Gaethje fails to get the finish here is because Michael Chandler is deep on a single leg. Instead of sprawling and trying to separate from Chandler to land some ground and pound, Gaethje just decides to stay on top and just throw a couple pitter-patter body shots.
Knee the body! Knee the body, Justin Gaethje!
Here, Gaethje's coach tells him to knee to the body. One of the rules of MMA is you cannot knee a grounded opponent to the face, but you can to the body. But he doesn't, so yeah. Here's another big uppercut from Gaethje, as Chandler has not learned his lesson yet. Chandler lands a nice punch here, but then he also grazes Gaethje's eye with his thumb, which is illegal. But referee Mike Beltran doesn't step in on time, and Chandler lands a cheap shot. To this day, Gaethje still talks about this moment and talks about how dirty of a fighter Michael Chandler is, and how this was a horrible refereeing decision made by Mike Beltran.
Get over here, ready? Let's go fight!
This is the end to round 2, giving this round to Justin Gaethje 10-9, making the scorecards now be even at 19. Winner of round 3 will get it done. Gaethje wins this round as he drops Chandler really bad, hurts him on multiple occasions, inflicts more damage, and overall was closer to winning the fight.
Look at me. I love the fun. I love it.
Here's the replay of the eye poke. As you can see, his fingers go into Gaethje's eye, and Beltran, instead of stepping in protecting the fighter, Chandler decides to get a free right hand straight to Gaethje. This could have been fight-altering moment.
You kill the legs and put it to the fucking neck. Let's go, baby! One more! You ready to fight? Hell, let's go!
Round 3 is now on our way.
Watch your fingers, guys. Watch your fingers.
Here, Gaethje lands another big uppercut with a left hook on top of it. Chandler, instead of deciding to defend himself, walks at Gaethje with his hands at his waist, becoming a human punching bag. Chandler here then decides to suplex Gaethje and ends up on bottom. Very brain-dead move by Chandler on his part. It was a waste of energy, and he didn't even get to the dominant position. Here, Chandler overthrows multiple uppercuts, and Gaethje counters him with a big overhand right.
Watch your head, watch your head.
As the fatigue starts to set in, Chandler decides to keep his hands at his waist, throw a bunch of loopy shots, and decides to just continuously get battered by Gaethje, not defending himself whatsoever. But it is very entertaining. Here, Chandler throws a really bad tornado kick, and Justin Gaethje's coach, Trevor Whitman, laughs at him. Round 3 is now over, the fight is over, and Gaethje wins round 3, making the final scorecards 29-28 in favor of Gaethje. This is known as one of the most violent and entertaining fights in UFC history, and as you saw in these highlights, absolutely it was.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 3 rounds, we go to the judges' scorecards for decision. The judges for the contest, 29-28, 29-28, and 30-27 for the winner. Are you there?